live here on a Friday, March 9th, 2018, here on the right side of campus. I'm your host, Big Man on Campus, here with Donnie Rightside. Donnie, Conference Championship Friday. A lot going on, a lot of games, a lot of new games, a lot of interesting ones. Carolina Duke, you got Villanova playing, all sorts of stuff going on. We're here live to break it down. How you doing today?
Doing good. Some of these lines finally filling in off the matchups that came in overnight. So a lot of good stuff to talk about. Big day of basketball. I say it a lot, Jeff. I really like conference tournament week almost on an equal parallel level to March Madness. It's a lot of fun, some good matchups, teams fighting to get into the tournament. We'll see what happens today, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Yep. Same here. Hit the like button, retweet, let us know you're out there, say hello in the chat. Obviously hit the like button though. That's important. Make sure you're supporting the show. And make sure you're sharing it on Twitter. It's a great way to get it out. People that might not see it on a regular basis. Friday here. Let's take a look at the chat. Say hello to the people here. Donnie, why don't you do that?
Yeah, let me take a look here for us. I was just trying to respin that out. Let's see who's in the chat box. All right, let me get a refresh in here. Looks like Scott, Letty, T-Lo, and me, Jeff, are in the chat box right now. So real quick update on that. We'll let people filter in and shoot these links out here, and we'll do a little shout out a little bit later so far.
Friday here. You obviously have UNC Duke on the schedule today, but we're headed up to Madison Square Garden right after the show here. I'll jump on the train. You'll jump on the transit. We'll meet up there. It should be fun tonight, Donnie. Headed up to New York City. You got Villanova and Butler. That should be fun. Third time around. Butler's had their number, but this game's in Madison Square Garden. It's not in Hinkle Fieldhouse. And then you have Xavier and Providence who come in. Providence always seem to find a way, Donnie, to get to the semifinals or finals of this conference. Ed Cooley doing a nice job there throughout the years. Let's get into some headlines, Don, before we chat about college hoops. We start with the LA Rams, who we chatted about yesterday. We thought that I mentioned they get rid of Ogletree, get rid of Robert Quinn, but you brought in a ton of secondary players. Last night, you bring in Talib. You already have Sam Shields, LaMarcus Joyner, Marcus Peters. They have a great secondary, Donnie, but they have a pass rush that can get to the quarterback is the big question. They have obviously Aaron Donald there, but what else do you have in that front seven? You have to be able to get to the quarterback a little bit, Donnie, and we all know how that dream team situation works out sometimes. What are the Rams doing here?
Yeah, I actually like what the Rams are doing, Jeff, because you're trying to take that MO, that mold of the Eagles won a Super Bowl, even though Carson Wentz didn't win it for them. You still have him on his rookie deal. The same thing you had with Jared Goff, the same thing that you still looked for with the Seattle Seahawks, Jeff, when they had Russell Wilson before he became a mega free agent, got that monster price tag on his extension. You might as well go for it now because in a couple of years, the same thing with the Eagles, Jeff. In 2 years, Carson Wentz is going to make $30 million a year. And if Jared Goff progresses and wins as he should with McVay as the man in charge, he's going to get $30 million a year as well. It's almost like a free few year run where you can expend and use some resources. Talib is very expensive. Peters is going to be very expensive. Now they did trade Ogletree to try to make some room, but Aaron Donald's about to get paid like a quarterback as well, Jeff, with his extension. I agree with their moves because if you're looking at the Rams itself, as long as you have Aaron Donald in the middle, you have a pass rush.
Yeah, no, I hear you. They obviously, you wonder though. I mean, Sam Shields. I mean, I'm not really in love with that. I
don't even know why, Jeff, he's playing football at this point. I mean, shout out, he loves the game and wants to come back, but he's had some vicious concussions, Jeff. And the more you get, Jeff, the more you are susceptible to get. So good luck for Sam, but I don't think he makes it through the season.
Yeah. Marcus Peters, bit of a head case, but a good player. Talib, bit of a head case, good player. We'll see. Obviously, it'll be interesting. All those personalities in LA. Who knows what will happen? We move on, Donnie, to I wanted to bring this up. Steve Francis, who for many years, I remember when I was a kid, Steve Francis with the Rockets, Tracy McGrady, Yao Ming. Steve Francis was the franchise, a hell of a player. I read an article, Donnie, in the Players Tribune from Steve Francis. I got to tell you, Donnie, it was one of the better articles I've ever read. It was fantastic. It was very good, very well written. Steve wrote it himself. And I don't know if you read it, but it was basically about him and his life and how he literally, I mean, this is a guy, Donnie, that when he was a kid, he lived in DC, and where he lived, it was a terrible area. I mean, just horrendous. His mother had cancer. She passed away when he was, in the teenage years. Father was in prison. And basically he he had always played basketball. He was always the kid out playing, but when he was real young, 12 or 13, he was a drug runner basically. He would sit on the corner, someone would call the payphone, he'd tell them where to go to get drugs, and that was his job. He then, as he got older, he basically accepted the fact that, you know, he's probably, what he's trying to do is way too difficult. His mother had died. What's he going to do? He's going to build this street trade, and he accepted. He said, I guess I just have to expect the fact I'm going to make money here, but I'm either going to die or go to jail. And he had accepted that. But he had this AAU coach that kind of pushed him, kept telling him to stick with it. And he was 18. He was at this point selling crack to people. But by 22, and he told it in such a Donnie. Did you read the article or no?
I did not read the article, but I did see it pop up there. Also, there's a little. It was Players Tribune, correct?
Yeah, you have to read it because
Yeah.
like it was really fascinating about the first time he when he got he went to the Rockets, and he says, he talks about one of his first games and how poor he played, and he remembers looking at Rudy Tomjanovich, and you know Rudy's basically saying like, we traded 15 motherfuckers to Vancouver for this, and then they get on the plane after the fact, and they're riding around, and Tomjanovich basically said, go up there, sit next to Hakeem, sit there next to him. So he sits down, and they're chatting, and he's not really Hakeem's just sitting there. He's reading the Quran, and Steve's got the headphones on. He's got the Tims, and he basically talks and he goes, "What's up, Dream?" Dream says, "Steve." I'm like, "Yeah, Dream." Steve, you walk around dressed like a bus driver. This is what Hakeem said to Steve Francis. Come on, Dream. What are those construction shoes you have on? Question mark. They're Timberlands, man. Come on. Steve, let me help you. Come to my tailor with me, and we'll get you 10 suits. Custom made cashmere. Come on, Dream. Cashmere, Steve. And he talks about how at that point, you know, Hakeem was so far ahead of everyone else. Now if you look at the NBA, that's how guys dress. It's just really nice. It's just a fascinating article. I strongly urge you to read it. It was really interesting how he came up, and how he's admitted to his past failures and things that he did. But Steve Francis, now you remember the franchise,
Of course I do. Yeah, Stevie Franchise, sure. Explosive player
right?
for a while, for a couple years. Yeah.
Yeah, great story though. I strongly urge checking it out. We also, Donnie, have one other thing today. And as we talk about the Sopranos quite frequently on this show. It's that and The Wire, my favorite shows ever. I don't think anything will ever top it. But we got some big news yesterday, Donnie, that David Chase is screenlighting a movie. It'll be a working title, but it'll be a prequel basically to the show about the Newark race riots back in '67. If you actually watch the show, there were references to this. If you remember a couple of the episodes where, particularly in season one, Tony, you go back to like when he was a kid with Uncle Junior and his father, and his mother references the riots and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how all this kind of worked. I guess supposedly the time period will include room for Tony's father, Johnny Boy, and his wife, and then his Uncle Junior. So, Donnie, let me ask you: are you excited for this? What do you think?
I love it. I love it. And it's funny, you're going around and see like the retweets come out and you want to read the article. But more importantly, I want to get like the gauge of what people think about it. And I can't even believe I saw even one, two, or three comments, Jeff. And I have to laugh at this. No, no, bad idea. If it's done by the creator of the show, Jeff, not just some rip-off producer who's trying to step in and make a buck, why would this be a bad thing? Where you can get the story straight from back in the day with Uncle June and the crew to see, probably Tony Soprano as a little kid and work their way up through the ranks. I love the idea. I can't get enough. I actually was excited, Jeff, because I thought he was going to make it into like a series, go on HBO as if it was The Sopranos, but leading up to it as a prequel. I would like that even more, but I'll take the movie. Give me all I can get on The Sopranos.
Yeah, Chase actually told Entertainment Weekly on if you will see some resolution of Tony Soprano's fate. I could never see a return of the show except as a prequel. So yeah, I don't understand what people would be mad about with this. I mean, it's not going to be the show. It's going to be basically a whole nother storyline, yet still about the show and before. I think it'll be cool. I'm checking it out. Obviously, anything to do with surprise. And I got to tell you, I really like the Johnny Boy character, the father of Tony. I thought he was
Yeah.
pretty funny. Like,
Yeah.
and the younger Junior and his mom, and yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. The Many Saints of Newark, it will be called. I guess again that is a working title, but we'll look forward to that as it comes closer. As we know, we love The Sopranos here. Donnie, let's move on to the college basketball recap here. Uh, Obviously, a big day in college hoops yesterday. Uh, Duke and UNC, Donnie, impressive. Duke gets an easy win against Notre Dame. Look, you kind of saw that coming. I mean, Notre Dame was, they tried their all, I'm sure, but y- y- we're all human, Donnie. They're human. They're kids. Eventually they're going to give out and not play well. They were tired. It showed. Duke looked good, Donnie.
No, they really did look good. And that's what the worry was, because if you watch that Virginia Tech game, there was sort of a little bit of a blueprint there, Jeff, early on. Very athletic Virginia Tech team, not giving Notre Dame any space, because when it all breaks down, Matt Farrell's a great point guard, but he's not going to beat you to the rim. They don't have a lot of guys that can take you off the dribble. They're more of driving the lane, pick and pop, and try to hit a three. And you also saw Bonzi not, got his legs under him just yet. But then you flip over to the Duke game, Jeff, and now you take, Virginia Tech times two with athletic ability. Grayson Allen was on fire in the first half. You put that team away, but it's just apparent when you're going to line up and you can be just as physical, just as smart, and more athletic than Notre Dame, that gives them problems.
Yeah, I mean Duke's starting to look pretty good, man. I mean they're starting to get everybody contributing. Yeah, looked impressive. UNC, Donnie, they had a tough start. Didn't score for the first 7 minutes. I think around that time they scored with I believe like 12:51 on the clock. So yeah, like
Yep.
7 minutes. Jumped out to a 14-0 lead. Did Miami? But by halftime, UNC had the lead. They got back into the game, and they just jumped on the Hurricanes in the second half. Valiant effort by this team as well. Look, you go up 14-0. I mean, you gotta that game has to be your game. I mean, you have to play your game. I know it's early, but you gotta keep your foot on the gas. You got to keep playing defense. You got to keep going. Again last night, um, you know, average game from Miami. UNC gets to win. The game we all want to see though coming up, UNC Duke should be a fun one, Donnie tonight, which I'm sure we'll mention. Michael Porter, Donnie, you say rusty.
Yeah.
Um,
hmm
I got to tell you, I thought they was everything they could have asked for. 12 points, 8 boards.
No.
The kid
Yeah,
kid
but
hasn't
he went
played in.
like, but he had one of those Westbrook type games where he had the 12 points on like 50 shots, it seemed like.
He hasn't played in months. I think
Yeah,
he's.
that's
I
why
don't
he's
think it's any
rusty.
reason. I don't think it's any reason they lost the game. Without Michael Porter, they would have gotten completely rolled. It's a bigger problem on how they lost to Georgia. You can't score 59 points and lose to Georgia. It's just
Yeah.
not. Just can't happen. I mean, really. And
Another
I
one of
know
those
the
games, Jeff. I
trap.
think that game. I think that game opened up 10-0, also similar to the Miami game. Come on, you a neutral court site, Jeff. In college basketball, it's not the NBA where everybody collapses every night. If you're a good basketball team, you open up a double-digit lead. And again, Missouri is better than Georgia overall to me, right? I mean, you have to hold on to win that game. And to get back to the Miami game, Jeff, 14-0. You're getting what, 6.5 points in that game? You're probably puffing your chest out like, all right, Miami, just hang around and we got this. They didn't even come close to the cover last night.
Yeah, that's dreadful stuff. By the way, Donnie, the chill. You know the chill. He texted me
Yes,
last night again and said, "Put your house on UNC." Chill
that's
loves
right.
UNC. He has them the last 2 nights. Big
Yeah.
big win for the chill. What I wanted to take a look down at one thing. Georgia. Yeah, I mean, by the way, what was up at the last possession? You're down three, or you're down two. You take a
Yeah,
three.
come on. Yeah,
Go
come
to
on.
the
Yeah,
fucking hoop,
exactly.
man.
Yeah. You're going to get the
Michael.
call. You're going to get the call. What, 9 out of 10 times you go to the hoop at the end of the bay? As long as you create contact, and they're good enough to create contact.
Yeah, brutal. We move on, Donnie. Middle Tennessee State. What a
Mm.
what a brutal loss. You lose a Southern Miss, the 9 seed in Conference USA. I think they're still in. I think they'll be the first team to be a bracket buster, if you will. I just don't think you can look past what they did in the out of conference. They beat two SEC teams. They scheduled very tough. The games that they did schedule very tough, they lost by small margins in neutral court situations. I think they're still in, Donnie. Actually, I think they'll be the first at-large team from a mid-major to get in. I just don't know how you can keep Middle Tennessee out, especially compared to some of these other teams. Oklahoma's and the Louisvilles and some of the teams that you know just were so topsy turvy all season. Middle Tennessee State was dominating, but it leaves the door open now for an Old Dominion or West Kentucky. That's an interesting conference now, Donnie, isn't it?
Yeah, you're not asking these mid-major teams, Jeff. You want them to have good seasons, which Middle Tennessee did have a very good season, won the conference. All you're asking them to do, Jeff, is once they get into the conference tournament, when you're Middle Tennessee State, beat the teams you're supposed to, or even if you're favored in like the semifinal or the final and you lose, 75-70, 75-71, that's okay. But the one thing that Southern missed, Jeff, a couple weeks ago, I actually took Southern Miss at home getting 7 points from Middle Tennessee State. If you remember that game, obviously way off the radar. That game was 62-62 with about 4 minutes to go and ended up 72-62 to end the game because Middle Tennessee State just clamped down on the defense. But watching that game, it sort of had like a mixed match where Southern Miss could score against Middle Tennessee State up until those last 4 minutes, played out last night, and that's amazing that they lost. No fault of their own. I know Joe Lenardi, people say, last 4 in to get it. They better hope, Jeff, that we don't have any wild surprises where one of these teams rises up who wasn't going to get into the tournament and wins one of these conference tournaments.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. That's what every team on the bubble does not want to see. San Diego State, Donnie, big win last night against the Fresno State Bulldogs. SDSU playing some good hoops right now. Defensively, they've been very good. Look like the old San Diego State teams under Steve Fisher. Now you get a big reunion here against Nevada, who they did beat in the regular season, beat Nevada. No Jordan Caroline, Donnie, for Nevada. That's a big loss. Do you give the Aztecs a chance here? What do you think?
Yeah, hey, neutral court. If you're going to play some defense and come to play, you do have a shot in every single tournament. I haven't watched that much of San Diego State this year, but it was a nice victory. Fresno State, very game ball club, but again, we've seen it. As long as you come to play, knock down the shots you're supposed to make, you're going to have a chance.
Yeah, Nevada obviously is the class of that conference,
Yeah.
but without one of their better players, you got to wonder now what. I thought the line would open 5. You're getting San Diego State +3. Not great, but I kind of like the Aztecs here. I think they're going to find a way to get the job done here and move on to the finals. Um, they maybe might even sneak into the dance. How about that?
Yeah.
San Diego State always a name to keep in mind in March. They've built that up over the years out in Montezuma Mesa. Donnie, bad beats yesterday. There were a lot of bad beats for a lot of people.
Yes, there
A
was.
lot of things went on last night. You had TCU. TCU. I don't know if that was really a bad beat. Alabama. If you had the dog or the who did Alabama play?
Alabama beat wasn't
There's
Auburn. Who the hell?
too many
I can't,
games.
yeah, exactly. Too many games.
Whoever Alabama played.
I know Sexton laid it in at the buzzer. Who did they beat? I don't know. Somebody in the
Texas
SEC.
A&M. Texas A&M.
There you go.
Uh,
Good.
Texas A&M. If you had the money line or something, sucks for you. The game just goes over the number as well.
I
It's a
wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't
138.
say those were bad beats. I think the one that you're about to get to and explain that most of us had
I mean,
watched the last half. Go ahead and
yeah,
get to it.
yeah. There's nothing more to say on it, man. I'm not trying to relive it again. Uh, it's that ridiculous to even discuss. I don't know how to even break it down. Yeah, it
And
was a
also,
bad
Jeff,
beat,
it's
man.
like we watched how the game. We don't have to go over the last because it was the kid made 2 free throws to go up 12 points with literally like 25 seconds by the time the kid inbounded the ball to come up. But the plays that get me mad, Jeff, and sometimes like I've been on a nice run. I'm getting a couple breaks here with my games. But at the end of the game, it was a 7-point game, right? There's 4.5 seconds to go. 99% of the time, Jeff, the inbounder just throws the ball to the corner and they get an immediate foul in that situation. But in this game, what do they do, Jeff? He throws a Hail Mary that gets tipped around, and the other team, Cal State Bakersfield, gets the ball, dribbles up within, misses the shot. But the whole point of that was they were still in foul mode. If you just flip the ball into your point guard 3 feet away from you, they would foul because there's 4.5 seconds to go, and you probably would have got the cover. The Hail Mary pass does you in on that one, Jeff, again.
Yeah, I mean, you go up 12. I mean, you should be able to close the game out. And what do you say? I mean, unfortunately, whether you win by one or lose by one or 30, it doesn't matter. You lose the game. That's what happens when you bet on Utah Valley State, though. Sometimes, some of those teams. I mean, it's simple. You just move the ball, get past that. Because I mean, if you watch the game, Bakersfield had given up. I mean, they were on that when they were up 12. I think it was a 10-point game at that point. There was only 15 seconds. I think they had given up. Yeah, it's what are you gonna do, right? But I thought Seton Hall. I mean, Seton Hall was a tough one. I thought also. I mean, they were up the whole
They
game.
control the whole game. Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, they were up, 14 at one point in the first half. They were up 10 at half. You kind of let that one slip too. Um, you know, you allow an offensive rebound. You got to block out. I mean, you have to block out, and they weren't able to do it. So 1-1-1. I mean, which the one push I don't figure into a record because it doesn't mean anything. So, yeah, what are you gonna do, right? But yeah, if you had it, I know people were irritated. You got to move on. Part of sports. It's how it goes sometimes. Um, that's it. That's the wrap for today. Yeah, as we the conference tournaments are fickle business. You got a lot going on, a lot of weird, random things. Uh, the whole key is today, Donnie, to find where you screwed up and then try to right the wrongs.
Yeah, there's a couple interesting ones I'd like to look at. Last night I was able to hit with St. Louis, who had an awful first half. If you watch St. Louis Billikens basketball, they're tough as nails, but they're a little bit offensively challenged. We're able to overcome that against GW in the second half. Pull out a nice victory in that one. But moving on to tonight, Jeff, there's some interesting situations that throughout the day I'm going to want to take a shot at. If you're going to look like USC Oregon in one of those games, Oregon pulled out a win versus Utah last night, and now it's one of those games, Jeff, where it's not the back-to-back nights, which I typically like. Whereas we would take, Oregon playing on the second night. Hopefully they stay hot. Now these teams, Jeff, are getting into 3 games in 3 nights, maybe even 4 games in 5 nights. That type of scenario. Those are the type of games that you might want to zero in on, see if you can maybe steal a game or two.
Yeah, that's I mentioned that last night. Going through the card and finding those teams that are on 2 or 3 days in a row. Are going to struggle probably late in second half. That kind of thing. Let's get into some of the games today, Donnie. What do we got on the card?
Yeah, let's take a look. We'll go through a couple of these. And again, great matchups today all across the card. We'll try to take a look at some of these that we have picked out going over, Jeff. We'll go in the same rotation last night. I know you picked up your win last night, Jeff, came against the Temple Owls, which even that one was kind of interesting because Temple had a 12, 13-point lead maybe midway through the second half. But Temple is Temple. Temple's had leads all season long and watched them evaporate faster than the Philadelphia 76ers. They weren't able to pull that out. I think that game ended up at 5, but the cover was well in hand at 6.5 due to Tulane popping 3 after 3 after 3. When you're backing a team with the points, it's nice to get 3 straight possessions, Jeff, where you get 3-3-3. In this game tonight, 825, 826, it's going to be a tough one. A double-digit road favorite, or I should say neutral court favorite, for Wichita State in this game going against the Temple Owls. I get Temple played last night. They won and moved on. And I get Temple played them tough out in Wichita State, and Temple beat Wichita State at home. This is a different Temple team heading into this game. I don't like to lay it because it's 10 points neutral court, but Jeff, I'm not going anywhere near Temple in this one. How about you?
I mean, it's hard to not though. I mean, they played Wichita very well this season. The bigger guards have given them a little bit of trouble. Yeah, but you have to say to yourself, I mean, Temple was up, 12 at half at their place, or 14 at half at their place, and you remember how that game went? Temple with a lead is allergic. I mean, that's why you bet them when they're laying 6.5 points last night. When they went up 14, Donnie, I remember I was actually eating dinner. I was sitting here watching the game. I thought to myself, it's 14. I know they'll blow it. This is what they do. And they
Yeah.
did, of course. That's what they do. Go back to every game that they've had a lead in. At some point, they blew it. Back to the first game of the season. Back to Drexel. Back to St. Joe's. All those games. That's what they do. It's just Temple basketball. And you know what I had to deal with last night, Donnie, watching that game? That fucking guy. I think his name. What's his name? I don't know, one of the color guys, sucking off Fran, how much of a legend he is, what a beautiful coach he is at Temple. He's the only coach that professors a class. Maybe you professored the class a little less and start focusing more on your recruiting. we wouldn't be in these situations. But yeah, this is a number right kind of where you think it should be. It's hard to not take Temple though. I mean, I know people say, well, why? But because you're getting double digits and they've been very good against Wichita this year. But you have to ask yourself, is this one of those things where last night legs catch up to you and you get blown out in the second half? Wichita can do that, as we know. Um, this is a tough, tough game. Gun to my head, I'm not betting this one, but I'd actually lean with the Owls. I think the way they played Wichita this year, it's been impressive. Maybe you go first half for Temple. Maybe Wichita comes out a little slow. Temple's feeling themselves from last night. They still have some legs for sure. That'd probably be the way I'd look. I don't bet a lot of first half, but Temple Donnie this year 3-0 when playing with one or less days of rest. And if you remember back to last year, even this year, this team is very good in tournaments. I know you noticed that, Donnie. They've covered 13 of 18 on conference tournaments or tournaments in general. They won last year a tournament up at the Garden. They won the Charleston Classic this year. This team is very familiar with neutral court situations, how to deal with yourself after a game you played the night before. Don't sleep on that. That's important stuff late in the season. As we know, Temple laying 6-7, I'm not interested in, but getting 10.5 against a team they played well against twice this year, I'm going to go with the Owls.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a lot of points. And if you're looking right now, in the latest update on Pinnacle, Jeff, minus 10.5, minus 112. Bet online sitting at 10.5. CG Technology is still sitting at 10 in that one. I would venture to say, Jeff, if you're looking to bet this game, you might want to wait because it's probably more likely to get to an 11 than you would say 9-ish. So I wouldn't be in a hurry on that one. 7 o'clock, you got all day to bake that one in, Jeff. We're going to be heading up to the Garden shortly here, Jeff. 9 o'clock tonight. We do want to pick this one up. It's good because the one thing we were worried about is Xavier might get knocked off. We'd end up seeing like DePaul playing Marquette or something like that, or Nova would get knocked off. We've got a pretty good Final Four coming up here, Jeff. 8:59, 8:60. The Butler Bulldogs pulling off the comeback versus Seton Hall in the Garden last night. If you didn't watch that game, came down to a late putback by Butler to give them the victory of a very game Seton Hall. And I hate to say, Jeff, if you had a healthy Desi Rodriguez out there, I think the game is completely different, but they still had a double-digit lead instead of one. We'll see how that pours over tonight. Villanova dismantled Marquette, and it happened so fast, Jeff, with Villanova. How many times we see Nova playing with a team 40-35, 41-37? You blink your eye by the next commercial break, they're up 15 points where they go on a run. Tonight, no surprise, favored by 8 points in the Garden in this Final Four matchup, over-under at 151.5. In the past, Jeff, it seemed like Butler had Villanova's number. Villanova kicked him in the teeth. I took a tough loss in the last game backing Butler. I believe I was getting 9 in that game, and Villanova ended up winning the game by 10, something in that fashion. What do we see tonight in the Garden, Jeff? Good game, though.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the situations where, Villanova, I mean, last night rolled. I mean, they didn't have to put up much of sweat in that game. That was like, kind of practice in a way. Butler, a tough game, rigorous game. I don't know. I'll continue to anchor the sentiment. I don't like Butler on the road. I definitely don't like Butler on the road 2 straight nights. I'm probably going to bet Villanova. I think this is the time where Villanova, I think, will trash Butler. They did it already this year, beat them by 11. Butler's had their number out in Hinkle, but this is far the hell away from Hinkle. So I think that's the only real edge that they've had. I think Jay Wright will be better equipped to handle Kamar Baldwin. Kamar Baldwin went all over Seton Hall last night. Seton Hall had no answer for Kamar Baldwin, and I guarantee Jay Wright was sitting there in the 3rd or 4th row, writing down on a piece of paper what exactly he was going to do to stop Kamar Baldwin. Villanova's covered 6 of 7 on neutral courts, and they're 19-8 against the number against teams with winning records this year. That tells me that they take care of business against good opponents. Villanova. I'd lay the 8 here.
Yeah, no, it should be good when I'm looking excited for that one. Bet online showing a minus 8.5 in that one and sitting at 152. You can get 8s pretty much across the board. 2 more games we'll pick out, Jeff. An interesting one, 869, 870 yesterday. Oklahoma State, maybe their flame had been put out by Kansas. Thought they were getting a little bit of a break with Azubuike out of the game. But in the second half, Kansas did what Kansas does, put Oklahoma State away. Now they're going to bounce back. A quick environment here. Kansas State versus Kansas. 72% of those tickets coming in, Jeff, on the Kansas Jayhawks. The line opened up at 4.5, Jeff. You know what it's at now, Jeff?
7.
7.5. A 3-point line movement here, over under at 141. Yesterday, I didn't have any dog in the fight yesterday, but Kansas State actually obviously won the game versus TCU. And if I see it one more time, Jeff, where a team is inbounding under their basket with like 5 seconds to go, up 3 points for the defense, and they don't foul, it's egregious and you should be fired. They were lucky they won, but had to go to overtime in order to do it. How about bouncing back today with getting 7.5, Jeff, on a neutral court?
You got to ask yourself, is Dean Wade playing? Dean Wade, questionable here for this game with a foot injury. If he doesn't go, I mean, that's your leading
I got him
scorer
listed
out.
as out, Jeff. Yeah, I got him listed
Well,
as
there you
out
go.
right now as of 10-16 today. Yeah.
That's a big loss. I mean, that's 17 points a game. That's 6 boards a game. That's a block a game. That's that's your big. So now it's
That's your
equal
rim
playing
protector.
field,
Yeah.
right? But as of Weekend's out, Dean Wade's out. You know, I guess you have to ask yourself depth wise. Who's better equipped to handle the loss? Uh, I wouldn't say I think this will be a closer game. I think Kansas State. Barry Brown's great. Like Xavier Sneed a lot. Stokes, Diarra. Um, I don't have a ton on this game. It's a game where I think both fan bases we well represented during the Sprint Center. I think 7.5 at this point, couple points. More. I don't know. I think K-State will hang around. I haven't looked much into this game though. Won't be on my select.
And as we're talking on the air, Jeff, Wichita State just flashed up a -11, -116 at Pinnacle. So it looks like that number's even
Gotta
on the
keep
move
going
higher.
up.
As we stated before, you're more likely to see that 11 than you would at 9, and there's no stopping it. Maybe an 11.5 or 12, because the good part about that, Jeff, also is you get out of fouling range with Wichita State. So if you're Temple and you're down 12 and you knock down a 3 with 3 seconds to go, you're probably not going to foul after that point. So just something to keep in mind. We'll see how we track it, Jeff. Let's go to a non-majors here, Jeff, outside the P5. 895, 896, Morgan State and North Carolina Central in the neutral court. Very early betting activity, Jeff. Opened up at -1 at Chris. Bet online is -105, and over-under of 137. Any advantages here in this game?
Yeah, Morgan State, kind of a surprise in this tournament. They were picked preseason to do very well in this conference, but really tailed off at one point for a while. But they've been resuscitated here in the MEAC tournament. Tevion Kinley and Philip Carr, two guys that are great scorers. Kinley, Donnie, 26 a game, one of the better scorers in the country. He's done a great job for Morgan State. They beat Bethune the other night. And, I just wanted to talk about old reliable Lavelle Moten at NC Central. He's the reason I picked them as a sleeper to win this conference. He just knows how to coach, man. He's a good coach. He handles his business. Always has very good defensive teams that can rebound the basketball. Beating Coppin was nice. Covering the number was one thing, but then you come out and Donnie, you hold Savannah State. I've talked about Savannah State and how potent offensively they can be. You hold them to 56 points. That's pretty impressive. Savannah State was 8 for 32, Donnie, from 3. 8 for 32. They shot 26% from 2. Listen, North Carolina Central, 35%, didn't shoot the ball well, but defense is their calling card. Fascinating game here. It's all going to be about who can handle the tempo, who can handle the other team's offense. Because if you ask me, Morgan State has a much better offense. NC Central, a bit better defense. You have to ask yourself, where do you go? Donnie, what's the number you have on this game?
-1 and -1.5, Jeff.
Wow, what a great number. Central's the favorite?
Central is the favorite. Pinnacle just opened them up a few moments ago at -1 as well, Jeff.
Wow, what a great number. What a coin flippy game. It's fascinating, though, because you have the defense against offense. I'm going to go Kenley and Philip Carr. I think they're going to move on here. It's going to hurt again, I'll lose my future. But I just think, for me, I want to go scoring a little bit more. But I also don't want to bench Lavelle Moten. So just remember, sometimes coaching's important. And in games like this, coaching could be the real edge. Moten is a guy that in March, I don't like to bet against, because you seem to always find North Carolina Central in the semifinals or the finals of this tournament.
No, I hear you on that, Jeff. And again, another quick update there as I put in the chat box. Wichita State Shockers, Jeff, now up to -12 versus Temple.
Wow.
Now you're getting now you're getting to one of those instances, Jeff, where these
bet.
are the stuff that you wait on. Exactly, because these lines aren't, out so far ahead where people are knocking these lines up, down, and lower. And if you came into this game, so I think Wichita State's really going to win. Now you start taking a look at 12. It takes 13, to beat you in a sense. So what would you say? A 20-point victory by Wichita? And again, we talk about this a lot, Jeff, in March Madness, especially conference tournaments. There's no showtime. There's no we have off tomorrow or we have a 5-day break. Let's just play Landry Shamet right to the bell, even though we're up 16 points with a minute and a half to go. You're taking those players out so you don't get injured because you got to play the very next night. And Temple's not going to sit or take people out. They're just going to try to play it to the end. It's hard to cover these double-digit numbers here just based on the fact that teams are going to be pulling people out waiting for the next day. As I said, Jeff, when you lose, there is no tomorrow. But for Wichita State, if they win, there is a tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically saying that, Wichita's going to roll here. That's kind of the thinking pattern.
On a neutral
I
court.
don't, I don't know about that. I mean, do you take 12 and say, okay, maybe I got the best number? I don't know. I think 12 is a great one. I'm kind of looking towards that myself.
Yeah, I'm not again the conference. I mean, yeah, go ahead.
No, you got it.
No, I was just going to say, in these type of games, it's hard for me to lay double digits because the motivation behind it, we all know the motivation, right? It's a neutral court. They're not playing in the roundhouse in Wichita. It's like, hey, win this game and we go to the Final Four next weekend so we can have a big party. It's a sterile environment. I don't know. I mean, me and Jeff watched the Temple game last night. Was there 400 people in the crowd? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, there definitely were many people. They actually did. I think the old, they made a mistake and panned to the crowd and
yep. The old
good.
Veteran principle: if there's not many people there, make sure you only show the people that are there. That's a good one.
Yeah, and the announcer's great atmosphere here in Orlando. It's no, it wasn't great atmosphere. But Donnie, we'll wrap it up today a little early. Obviously, we're headed off. I got to do still got to do a NASCAR video with. I got a guest today, so we still got to do that. We'll obviously report live from MSG a little later. We'll get you on camera, get your predictions for the game, maybe in front of the.
I don't give predictions, Jeff. I don't give predictions. Remember that.
In front of the storied ground of Madison Square Garden. Looking forward to it. You're getting up there around 3:30. Should be a fun night. I'm sure we'll have to deal with all these fucking Villanova fans who I hate. Donnie, I made a comment of.
How are you going to hate Villanova tonight? So you're a Butler fan tonight? Come on.
No, I don't like Villanova. You know that. No, I'll root for Villanova because I'll probably bet on them. So, I probably will. But I got to ask. I mean, I was considering trying to find a way to get to Brooklyn by 9 to watch that UNC.
What a great game. I was just figuring that out too. You want to talk about the epicenter of the world tonight being New York City and Brooklyn and the 5 boroughs? My goodness, you can't pick a better 4 games out. Awesome.
Donnie, I honestly think we should get an Uber and just go to Brooklyn. It's only 30 minutes away.
Yeah, what's funny about that? I got so excited for the Big East tournament. I know we're going to get real good. And you don't really pay attention to the ACC because we're focused on this. And then last night I'm like this, Jeff. I'm like, God damn, Duke versus NC, right in freaking Brooklyn. We're going to be at the Garden, which we're still going to have a great time, great atmosphere, and have fun. But it's funny, 1 borough away, you have that all-time rivalry about to go down. It's pretty cool.
And you get Virginia, who's the best defense in the history of the world. I'm going to take a look here. I want to see something here. All right, cheapest tickets, Donnie, to get into the Barclays tonight.
What is
$119?
That's not too bad. That's not bad because it'd be more than $119 if you tried to go watch Duke and Carolina down in Carolina.
It's section 230, so it's to the right of one of the baskets. Yeah, I mean, you got to ask yourself though. I mean, do you want to watch? Virginia's. Some of the games we go that we'll be seeing, but you don't really know. You never really know. That's why
I don't want to watch Virginia live. I like Virginia, Jeff, but I don't want to watch Virginia live. No, I'd much rather be in the Garden for the game we had than that Virginia game.
Yeah. No, I know. You never really can know. I'm not taking the subway. I don't take subways. Fuck that. No subways for me. I'll take an Uber. It's a lot faster, probably.
Yeah, no, but my train leaves, Jeff, right around 1:50. Takes me a little bit to get to the train station. Hopefully, no delays, Jeff. Maybe, I'm not even going to make a joke on this one, why the train was delayed, but there were some delays already on Amtrak, which you have to figure in. Hopefully we'll get there on time. But again, Jeff, we built this in, right? We're getting there hours and hours and hours early on purpose because we know Murphy's Law is probably going to take place. That's why we're leaving early.
Yeah, there actually was delays this morning on the NJ Transit, which is no surprise to many people. But you're going in the middle of the afternoon, shouldn't have any problems. Then you're taking it home late, so shouldn't have any problems. There's no weather concerns here, knock on wood. So yeah, so we'll be in the house. We'll also want to ask everyone, if you're gonna be at the Garden, you want to link up with us, get at me on Twitter, get at Donnie on Twitter. I know one of the listeners, Mike Monroe, out in Long Island, he'll be at the Garden. He's going to link up with us. So, if you're going to be there, or you just want to link up and you're in the city, let us know. We'll try to accommodate you here.
Yeah.
Other than that, Donnie, we'll wrap it up. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll be live from the Renaissance Hotel in Manhattan. I'll be broadcasting with Donnie straight from the hotel room. How about that, Don? I got a little,
Yeah, no,
got
and
a little suite
Jeff,
going. You know.
before we get out of here, though, there is a famous quote by another rapper that said, "The greatest rapper of all time, Jeff, died on March 9th." So we will be in the house in New York City. It's a shame, Jeff, that we're actually not in Brooklyn tonight to pour a little bit out for the big man.
Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn
Yep.
at?
And by the
Yeah,
way, yes, one last thing on the ACC tournament, they get it in Brooklyn. If you notice, before every tip in the Barclays Center, Jeff, they play a Biggie Smalls song, which is fantastic. I love the fact that they get that.
oh yeah, they have to. And Donnie, one other thing. Speaking of that, what's your thoughts on? I know you don't probably know who this guy is, but do you know who Little Xan is? Do you know who that is?
Yeah, Jeff, I saw a picture of him. I didn't want to know who he was after that. So.
Okay, do you want to hear his? Did you hear his comment, or do you
No,
not care?
I just did it. Go ahead. Yeah.
His comment, he said that Tupac was boring, and he got a lot of shit for it. Do you agree with that?
Stop the madness. That just sounds like
Okay.
somebody trying to say something so he actually gets known for saying something stupid. So
Brian Seymour, let's hear Bobby from King of the Hill, big man.
yes, take us out with
Uh,
Bobby. Go ahead. Go.
all right. Um, hey Bobby, how you have with school today? What did you do? But Dad, I want to grow roses. Come on, Bobby. That is no job for a boy your age. You should be out playing with cars or basketball. But Dad, I want to grow roses.
Sounds like Bobby's dad has a little Ed Orgeron in him. I like it.
I mean, Hank Hill's a tough one. So that's a tough show to do. Some of the guys, but Bobby's a pretty easy one. All right, guys. Everyone have a great day. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back tomorrow. Like I said, with the closing line, we'll take a look at conference tournaments Saturday, and we'll have some fun with that. Big men do live feeds from the train, like the Houston Temple game. I speak for all when I say that is awesome, fun, cool stuff. All right. Well, maybe I will. We'll do live from the Amtrak with Big Man on campus. Everyone have a great night. See you tomorrow. Donnie, talk to you later. See you later. Bye, guys.
Awesome.
Take it easy.